Hello everyone, my name is Taya. I hope you are all well. Today I wanted to talk about varieties of language. First of all, when you talk about language and if you think of language as the entirety of linguistic system of communication, you can divide the language into certain subsystems within the same language, and these subsystems are defined based on different variables. So let's call it a way of speaking or a way of using language. However, a way of speaking could be defined based on your region and the country where the language is spoken. In that case, it's usually referred to as dialect, and sometimes there's a way of speaking that is defined by your gender. For example, you could say women is speaking this way, but men are more likely to speak this way. So you could have that there is a social classes that speak in certain ways, like working class, and people speaking in this way, or highly educated people, or even you could have a way of speaking that is specific to a certain location, like you could have academic speech. So the same person could have a professor, for example, who is from working class family, and once he is in the academic setting, he using academic language, and then once he is back with his family or friends, which might be more working class, he might be even switch his way of speaking, right? So if you talk with your friends or with your sister, you will use the informal language. But if you talk with your doctor or with your teacher, you use the formal language. So there are different ways of speaking, and these different ways of speaking have different names, and they are not defined based on the same standards, and sometimes it's based on your gender, or sometimes based on your social classes, or based on your on the occupation, or it may be based on the region. So you could say it may be a variety of language which is used for purposes such as religious service. So considering how diverse these different ways of speaking are, we are use an umbrella term which is called variety to refer to all these forms of language. For example, in literature, you could have certain styles of writing or certain schools of literature, and can be called varieties. Sometimes you speak the same language differently in different situations or to different people. Like to your siblings, you might be very casual to your professor or to your employer, and it might be formal language. So the different degrees of formality that you use in a particular language are also different varieties of language, and you could define a variety based on your degree of formality. So when you talk about varieties, usually there are certain varieties that are more often mentioned, like dialect or style or register or genre. For example, the word genre is often studied in contrast with register and style, but also in a bigger context in comparison with such other terms as dialect, text type, sublanguage, or discourse. And like style, register and genre seem to be more closely relevant to each other than to any other term. The other thing that is important is that when you talk about sociolinguistics, there is a particular methodology and a particular approach to the study of language in its social context, which you could call it sociolinguistic. But the researchers themselves would rather call it linguistics. And this methodology is called variationist linguistics. The very highlighted variety of language according to variationist linguistic is called style. Variationist linguistic itself started with research by William Labov on different styles of English, and there is another interesting researcher, Biber, who has done a bunch of research on register. So this is my presentation. Thank you for your listening. Bye.